What's up guys, CJ here and welcome back to another all-new Hybrid News Now. Today's video is brought to you by Gamefly. If you love gaming like I do, go ahead and get yourself a free 30-day premium trial of their game rental service just by using our exclusive link www.gameflyoffer.com/hybridnetwork. Lots of news to talk about today, from the Punisher Netflix series adding more cast members and revealing its release date, Daisy Ridley discussing some Star Wars fan theories, and finally, in our subscriber-suggested story of the day, a massive fan petition for Quentin Tarantino to direct Deadpool 2. But in our top story, let's talk the Punisher. In a press release sent out just a few hours ago, Marvel unveiled some brand new cast members, as well as giving us a better idea of when we'll be able to, binge watch the whole thing in one sitting. And I know you're all looking for that last part, so let's go ahead and get that out of the way. Marvel officially confirmed for the very first time in that press release that the series will stream globally in 2017. That's right, not 2018 as a lot of people were thinking, just next year. And this is going to be really interesting schedule-wise. I mean, previously a lot of people were thinking it was going to be Luke Cage, then Iron Fist, then Defenders, then maybe the Punisher down the line. But at this point, given the fact that the Punisher is filming and now we know it's coming out in 2017, could this drop before Defenders? That is 100% speculation on my part. Don't go running with that quote, but what we do know for certain now for the first time is that we'll be seeing Frank Castle again before 2017's over. Speaking of the Punisher though, the press release of course also revealed a few new additions to the cast. They've officially announced 5 new characters, and I'm just going to run through them real quick. Daniel Weber from 11/22/63 as Lewis Walcott, a young veteran struggling after returning home. Jason R. Moore from A Lonely Place for Dying as Curtis Hoyle, a longtime friend of Frank's and one of the few people that knows he's actually alive. Paul Schultz from Nurse Jackie will be playing Rollins, a CIA operative whose work in Afghanistan led him to cross paths with Frank Castle, and that's a character that's probably a little familiar for you if you've read Punisher Max. Jamie Ray Newman from Bates Motel plays Sarah Lieberman, the wife of Ebon Moss-Bachrach's Micro. Finally, Matt Nathanson from The Nick is playing Homeland Security Agent Sam Stein, the partner of Amber Rose Riva's Dinah. So let me know what you think about all of those castings in the comment section down below. These are really intriguing to me, especially Rollins. Of course, I mentioned the connection to Punisher Max in that series, but one in particular is Curtis Hoyle. That's a character from some of the older comics, and I really wonder if they're going to have his story play out the way it did there. But on to our next story of the day, let's talk Star Wars. Last year's Episode 7 was incredible for a ton of reasons in our return to a galaxy far, far away, a major one of which has to be the amazing Daisy Ridley. She was really the film's breakout star for her portrayal of Rey, a Force-sensitive orphan and scavenger whose parentage is without a doubt the movie's biggest unresolved mystery. Is she a Skywalker? Is she a Kenobi? Could she possibly be the daughter of Jyn Erso, Rogue One's badass female lead? Well, Ridley herself sat down with Vulture to talk a little bit about just that, and actually, she shut down one of those rumors that I just mentioned. If you were holding out for the Jyn Erso theory, sorry. When asked about that theory, Ridley did the timeline math in her head and pointed out that Ursa, given her age, is more likely to be her grandmother than her actual mother, kind of debunking that very quickly. When asked about another popular theory, if she could possibly be the granddaughter of Obi-Wan Kenobi, her response was mysteriously vague. We will see in a year. Just sit tight on that question. Now this is interesting for a couple of reasons. One, it seems safe to say that Ridley knows who Rey's parents are. 2, given the fact that she said we'll see in a year specifically, it looks like that major question will be answered in Episode 8. Which makes a lot of sense, especially if they're looking to kind of parallel the original trilogy in terms of structure. Remember, that other big parent reveal came in the second movie of that trilogy too. Anyways, I still stand by my gut feeling that she's a Skywalker, but comment question of the day, who do you think Rey's real parents are? Moving on to our last story of the day, this video is brought to you again by Gamefly. As a special offer just for you, Hybrid Network's amazing viewers, Gamefly is offering you a free 30-day premium trial of their game rental service. For those of you unfamiliar with Gamefly, essentially you rent from this huge library of games, they ship it to you, you play it as long as you want, and then you send it back for a new game when you're done. There are a ton of games this fall that I want to try before I buy at least. I've been burned by so many games this year, and if you have too, go ahead and try that exclusive 30-day free trial. You can get access to it just by using our exclusive link, www.gameflyoffer.com/hybridnetwork. But on to our last story of the day. In the subscriber suggested segment, we're going to talk a little bit about a new fan petition surrounding Deadpool 2. Of course, one of the massive headlines over this past weekend was the major upheaval over at Fox when Tim Miller, who directed the first Deadpool and was really instrumental in getting that project off the ground in the first place and was slated to direct Deadpool 2, abruptly walked away from the project. Reasoning aside and long story short, this leaves the sequel without a director and suddenly in search of a new one. Well, Carl Champion Jr. thinks he can make Fox's search just a little bit quicker, and he wants your support. Champion started a Change.org petition over the weekend urging Fox and Ryan Reynolds to hire, wait for it, Quentin Tarantino. Now at first this might sound like a long shot, and if I'm being honest, it kind of is. Tarantino does almost exclusively original projects that he himself has written, and he also might have a problem with the amount of creative control that Ryan Reynolds has. But it's something to imagine at least the king of the ultra-violent grim comedy directing a character who fits that mold perfectly. Now that's something I can get behind, and as of recording this, it seems like 8,500 people agree. If you'd like to join the movement and sign the petition, I've included the link in the description below. Friendly reminder, if there's ever a story you want covered on the H&N, go ahead and hit us up in the comments section or on Twitter at CJ Pascal or the channel at hybridnetwork_. But that's going to do it for today's H&N. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to smash that like if you like what you saw, subscribe for more great content every single day, and consider supporting us on Patreon for access to all sorts of exclusive goodies. Signing off, this is CJ, and I'll see you next time.